What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another live stream. My name is Ansel Lindner. This is Bitcoin and Markets. Coming to you live on Twitter, Telegram, and YouTube. The YouTube channel is BTC Market Update. Trying to build that up, so it would be awesome if you guys can go over and make sure you're subscribed to that. Maybe drop a comment underneath the video, something like that. I would appreciate that to help grow that channel a little bit. So we're back here. Today is Wednesday, January 18th, 2023. And an interesting piece of news hit this morning about this BOJ, Department of Justice in the U.S., their quote-unquote international crypto enforcement action. And that kind of affected the price there for a few minutes. The price has recovered. We're going to talk about the price. We're going to talk about what exactly they announced. Because, everybody is expecting out there that there's going to be this huge, coming after Bitcoin. That all of these players are really going to pull their swords out and start coming after Bitcoin and the Bitcoin industry. And for a very long time, I thought that might not even happen. Every once in a while we get a scare where the White House says, hey, we want to make this long-term study. We want to crack down on this. And people get scared for a little while. Then it comes around 9 months later and nothing ever happens. So are they ever going to start cracking down on Bitcoin? Well, we can watch what this BOJ, head of the BOJ, I forget her name already, what she said this morning. We're going to watch that clip. I did put it into the Telegram, so I found two different clips. The first one, the sound cuts out halfway through. I don't know what CNBC had some problem with their mic or something. And so anyway, the second one in the comments to that first post, that is the better one from Yahoo Finance. So that's the one I'm going to be using here in a few minutes. The total thing is about, I think, 4 minutes long. So we'll listen to that and try to cut through, stop it and comment on it. It's not going to be as bad as yesterday. Yesterday, I was watching that video of the Tucker Carlson right from the Fox News website, and it constantly had ads, and it was switched over to a different clip or segment, and I had a problem with that, but this is straight up on YouTube, so it should be okay. Might run into a commercial or something, but that's about it. So we're going to cover price and this enforcement action, and that's what's on deck for today. I'm going to try something new, and right now I'm going to do a 5-second break because on the podcast I'm going to insert an ad right here. So this is how I'm trying to pay the bills. Okay, let's jump into the chart. And here we have the daily chart. I will post this into Telegram. You guys can see this wonderful magic going on here. So this is, we did make new highs. Okay, we made new highs from immediately the pre-FTX high. We've now made new highs. So I think that's an important thing. It was not a new daily high close, though. It was just a new daily intraday, intraday high. So I think that is somewhat important. But you can see then that we had a few hours where the price was falling. So if I go to the hourly chart, post that over to Telegram. So the hourly chart, you can see we dropped all the way from about 21,600 down to 20,400. So what is that, $1,200 drop when it was announced that they had some big international enforcement action coming up. And then since that was kind of a nothing burger, price has recovered a little bit, almost breaking back above 21,000 right now. So we'll watch that throughout the rest of the day. What else do we have? Let's take a look at stocks. Stocks are down. This is the hourly chart. Going to post a Telegram. Okay, and as you can see, the last couple hours, just like the Bitcoin chart, it stocks or the S&P 500 broke up to some new intermediate highs or swing high or whatever, and then over the last couple hours it has come down. It has not recovered nearly as much as the Bitcoin price. So which is leading here, Bitcoin or stocks? Bitcoin has, over the last, I would say, 6 months to a year, really been the signal much more than stocks have been the signal. So I would think this is going to turn around. One thing that makes me think of is on Telegram, I posted this morning from Andreas Steno, one of my favorite follows on Twitter. He's burst onto the macro scene here in the last year with Macro Alf, and he is doing great work. Anyway, he said, "It always amazes me how price leads narrative. Suddenly, everyone back talking about soft landings." Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of wish-washy stuff in macro. People will make an outrageous claim one day, then they'll totally turn around and do a 180 the next day, and the whole time, the people they're preaching to their choir of their followers. So I don't know, in this space, at trying to become a macro analyst, at least a successful macro content producer, that should you just play to your audience, or should you actually try to be correct, right? Maybe I've been going about this all wrong the whole time, and I should just play to the audience and reinforce the audience's biases and confusion. Make it seem a lot more complicated than it is. Or I could just try to be correct. And obviously, trying to be correct is not, putting me up there with tens of thousands of views on all my stuff and making it into a successful type of macro thing. So maybe I just need to play to the biases of the audience. Really, I'm kidding. But this is what I see out there all the time. And Andreas Steno, he really puts his finger on it here, that people just are wishy-washy, and now all of a sudden people are talking about soft landing. What happened to the greatest recession? Worse than the great financial crisis. I heard some of those type of things just a few weeks ago. And the whole time I was talking about soft landing, either a very mild recession or no recession. And now people are starting to talk about a soft landing. I mean, maybe in a couple months, they'll be talking about a hard landing again. I don't know. But yeah, I just thought that was very interesting, and I wanted to bring it up. So what other charts can we look at here? Oh, as you can see, the stock market is selling off a little bit more right now. Let's go back to the Bitcoin price. It's not doing so hot. But again, I've said that there's a very high likelihood of a correction here. We are overbought on the daily RSI. Let me bring that up. So you can see the daily RSI is still above 80. That is extremely elevated for a RSI. And whether, I was talking about this yesterday, that you can either correct in price or in time. And I do expect it to be a relatively quick type of correction. So that means kind of price, right? It's possible that we stay around these levels for another 2 months, but that would just look really weird on the chart. I think we're going to correct with price here and then bounce back up. So I was asked on the Telegram if I expected to test the 200-day moving average still, or is that kind of out of the realm of possibility? And I said, no, I still do expect us to test the 200-day moving average by the end of the month. And so let's just put that on the chart here. There we go. Gonna snap it. Telegram. All right. So yeah, that 200-day moving average is down there at 19,500 right now, 19,500, which would be a very, very healthy correction. If we came down there, that would bring the RSI down, get us back into the middle territory on oversold versus overbought. and give us room to go higher. So, yeah, that is totally in the cards and most likely by the end of the month. But okay, so that's the price of Bitcoin. Let's get into this clip from, it's the Deputy Attorney General, Deputy Attorney General Monaco announces international crypto enforcement action. And again, I do have this linked over there on Telegram, so sorry you guys can't listen to the audio here, but you can watch that. It's about a 4-minute clip, like I said. But anyway, let's get into this. Let's make sure I'm all set up on the live streaming. All right. Let's play.
Good afternoon, everyone, for being here. The Department of Justice has dealt a significant blow to the crypto crime ecosystem.
We got him. We got him.
Justice Department agents and prosecutors, working in partnership with the Treasury Department and French law enforcement, have disrupted Bitzlato, a China-based cryptocurrency exchange notorious for laundering criminal proceeds from the dark net. And last night, agents of the FBI arrested Bitzlato's founder, Anatoly Legadimov. I am joined today by the Assistant Attorney General for the Criminal Division, Kenneth Polite, the United States Attorney for the Eastern District of New York, Breon Peace, FBI Associate Deputy Director, Brian Turner, and the Deputy Secretary of the Treasury, Wally Adeyemo. Today's law enforcement actions put all of those who seek to exploit the cryptocurrency ecosystem on notice that the Department of Justice will use every tool, working along with our partners, every tool that we have to attack the criminal use of the dark net and cryptocurrency.
Okay, one thing I think is interesting here is, she's not saying that we're going to ban Bitcoin. We're not trying to ban Bitcoin. We're not trying to ban crypto. We are going to go after illicit use cases of this stuff. And I've said this so many times on the show that there have been studies that it's something like less than 1% of Bitcoin volume is from illicit transactions. Bitcoin has grown out of that stage. I brought up on Andreas Antonopoulos yesterday. I'll bring him up again today. He said that a lot of these new technologies are first used by criminals because the margins are very high, right? There's a huge risk, but huge reward to these things. And so they're used by criminals first. Their activities have a huge risk and a huge reward. So they try to find every little advantage that they can, and that's why they tend to adopt new technology first. I think, what did he use? He used like NASCAR fast cars or something. I don't know what example he used, but technology, yes, is adopted mainly by criminals at the very first. Like, they're the innovators, basically. And Bitcoin was that way too at the very beginning. Darknet was a huge percentage of the use of Bitcoin, but it has grown past that. I mean, like I said, it's less than 1% now of Bitcoin. It doesn't really faze anybody. But Jad, just to bring it back to this, she's saying that they're not attacking Bitcoin; they're attacking illicit use cases. So interesting. Let's continue watching here.
And we are taking steps to address the crisis of confidence in the cryptocurrency markets, where criminals and fraudsters seek to operate beyond the reach of law enforcement. Malicious actors, working from what they think are safe havens, are exploiting crypto markets and flouting the laws and the regulations that guard the integrity of our financial system, and along with it, the earnings and investments of law-abiding Americans. It's no secret that cyber criminals rely on these bad actors to launder their criminal proceeds from cryptocurrency into fiat currency.
One thing I thought of when I was watching this the first time was, we just talked about the FAA could have been a ransomware attack. She mentions ransomware here in this little speech. Also, this is a big, enforcement action that they're announcing after the FAA supposed ransomware attack. So it's interesting how a lot of these things are following each other. Boom, 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 boom. But once again, she's not saying that they're banning Bitcoin or that anything's wrong with Bitcoin or anything. She's talking about illicit uses of Bitcoin. And yes, okay, I would rather them not enforce against these type of illicit uses, but that's not what I do here on the show. Okay, what I do here on the show is I talk about the macro realities that are going on. And I do agree that less regulation is better. Less enforcement is better. More personal responsibility, personal security, that type of stuff is better for a functioning system and for efficiency and all of that stuff. But that's not the world that we live in right now. And so this is where my comments come from. So anyway, let's continue with this.
But today, thanks to a coordinated international effort, Justice Department prosecutors and agents have disrupted a busy corner of this criminal ecosystem. Last night in Miami, FBI agents arrested Legadimov, a Russian national and the founder and majority owner of Bitzlato.
Got him.
A Hong Kong registered cryptocurrency exchange. The charges allege that he operated Bitzlato as a high-tech financial hub, as he put it, that catered to, quote, known crooks. Bitzlato failed to implement safeguards required by U.S. law, safeguards that enable law enforcement to detect and to investigate financial crimes. Instead,
that's an interesting line. So apparently these exchanges had to put backdoors in for the U.S. government. We knew that was the case pretty much. And we knew that they had to put backdoors in for like the NSA and the CIA and that kind of thing, but maybe not for FinCEN or the DOJ. But it looks like that's how they're going about doing this. Very, very interesting. Again, doesn't affect Bitcoin. It just affects Bitcoin exchanges. And the way I kind of view this is worst case scenario for Bitcoin is we just have today's system of regulation with Bitcoin instead of, an unbacked credit-based dollar. So, yeah, that's the worst case scenario. Best case scenario is using Bitcoin whittles away at the success of the regulation, because all you need to do for a lot of these things is increase the cost of enforcement. I remember way back, probably, in my 20s when I'm starting to use the internet more and use email and stuff. And I remember somebody saying, all you got to do is make hacking your account more expensive than hacking another guy's account. And that is almost like, when a bear attacks you, you just want to be faster than the dude next to you. So that's what it is. But with Bitcoin, it makes enforcement just more expensive. So they won't come, they cannot enforce it. Like the IRS, the SEC does this too. The SEC depends on professionals like CPAs and the people that prepare your taxes and TurboTax and all these things. They depend on the professional class to enforce for them, because they don't have the time or the budget to go after everybody. Just look at altcoins, They can't even go after 10 altcoins in the same year. How are they going to go after millions of people and their taxes? No, they use the system that they have built up to enforce for them. And this is going to be, that's what I think of when I think of the crypto exchanges. But if you use Bitcoin just in general, it might up that cost of enforcement enough to continue to slowly break down that enforcement. I hope that makes sense. I hope I'm making sense. But yeah, that's some thoughts on this. Let's keep going.
Bitzlato facilitated the transmission of hundreds of millions of dollars in illicit funds, fueling darknet marketplace marketplaces and laundering the proceeds of ransomware attacks.
Hundreds of millions of dollars, guys. Hundreds of millions of dollars. Well, how much has UBS laundered? How about JP Morgan? Deutsche Bank. How much have these guys laundered? And where's the press conference of that we got their CEO of Deutsche Bank? We got the CEO of UBS, guys. We got him. And this is going out there that none of these big banks can fund terrorist organizations. No, of course they're not going to do that. That's ridiculous. But I just want to point out the double standard. Also, a quick break here because guys on Telegram, you might be wondering, hey, I can't hear this, but I did post the link to the audio there in Telegram. Sorry, with the Restream software, it wasn't working out properly with Telegram, so I can't play it two places right now. I'm trying to do as well as I can, and I think it's better now because I'm able to stream to Twitter and YouTube and Telegram at the same time. It's just that Telegram can't hear these audio clips that I play, but I do link to the video for you guys. Anyways, okay, let's keep going.
For example, as alleged, Bitzlato was a crucial financial resource for the notorious Hydra darknet market, the disruption of which I announced from this podium last April, at that time with our German partners. Now, Hydra was the world's longest running and largest darknet marketplace, responsible for 80% of the world's darknet transactions. Together, Hydra and Bitzlato formed a high-tech axis of crypto crime. Hydra buyers funded illicit purchases of illegal drugs, stolen financial information, and hacking tools from crypto accounts hosted at Bitzlato. And sellers of these illegal goods and services at Hydra sent criminal proceeds to accounts at Bitzlato, all to the tune of over $700 million in direct and indirect transfers between 2018 and 2022.
I mean, they try to make it sound like this a big deal, but it's not. I heard it's hard to measure these statistics, but I've heard stats that a third of all transactions are gray market. At least they are illicit in some jurisdictions versus other jurisdictions, right? So that's a lot. $100 million is nothing. It's absolutely nothing. What this is going to do is these people that, if they've shut down this Bitzlato and there's a couple $100 million worth of Bitcoin on there or Monero or whatever, it's going to cause them simply to go out and rebuy it again, go out and just restock, because these people, like I said, they're in a high risk, high reward industry. And so they're probably pretty rich, and they have the ability to go out and replenish and look for the next thing, or even start the next thing, the next Bitzlato, wherever it is. So no, this cannot stop illicit activity. All this does is it puts another hurdle in the way of illicit activity, which will increase the price of Bitcoin, because they want more Bitcoin. They want to replenish their Bitcoin. They need Bitcoin to do XYZ. So if this is the case, that this was a big deal, then all it will do is increase the price of Bitcoin. Also, I wanted to mention too that they arrested him in Miami. Don't come to the United States, people. I mean, the guy from BitGold, I believe it was it BitGold? He was in Spain, right? He was in Spain hiking in just off the grid, hiking in Spain, and they found him and arrested him, right? Something like that. So they can go and get you other places, but most of the time, I would say 95% of these enforcement actions are when they come to the United States. So don't come to the United States, people. All right, let's go.
Now, I've said before that we would go after the entire ecosystem that allows cyber criminals and illicit actors to flourish. Today's action against Bitzlato, as with the disruption of Hydra, reflects another critical step in executing on that strategy. At the time of Legitimov's arrest and continuing into the early hours this morning, the department's international and domestic partners engaged in a coordinated campaign of disruption. That campaign includes law enforcement actions in multiple European countries, the seizure of Bitzlato's servers, and enforcement actions by the Treasury Department here in the United States. These actions show not only the broad scope of the defendant's alleged crimes, but also the international net dropped by law enforcement to stop him and his business partners. With these actions,
It sounds so big. Oh, the international dragnet that was dropped on these criminals. I'd never heard of Bitzlato, all right? It wasn't that big of a deal. And it took them, like, they're playing this off as a huge thing. Maybe it's obviously for the PR. It's to send the message that they're out there enforcing this stuff. Okay, great. But really their actions are not as big as they say. This is one of the themes of my analysis on most things, is it's all about the narrative. So they're building up this narrative of how great and wonderful their dragnet is and how their coordination is amongst all of these international players. But really, it's a small scale thing. The private sector does this 10 times bigger than these guys do every single day. Right? It's just a bunch of overpaid bureaucrats that are trying to enforce these things. And people aren't going to like it, you know? I mean, well, let's not get far into that. Let's play.
today marks the end of the Hydra Bitzlato crypto crime axis. We've also busted the business model of the cyber criminals that Bitzlato supported. And coordinated operations like these against Bitzlato, using all tools and designed for maximum impact, are the linchpins of international success against cybercrime. Our actions also mark the most significant enforcement effort against a cryptocurrency exchange by the National Cryptocurrency Enforcement Team, launched last year following a comprehensive cyber review led by my office. To all of those exploiting the cryptocurrency ecosystem to enable crypto crime, we have a clear message. We will not only target hackers, fraudsters, and criminals that mask their profits in cryptocurrency. We are also unleashing the full force of the Department of Justice on the illicit actors and entities that support cyber criminals, like Legadimov and Bitzlato. Operating offshore or moving your servers out of the continental US will not shield you. And whether you break our laws from China or Europe, or abuse our financial system from a tropical island, you can expect to answer for your crimes inside a United States courtroom. I want to thank the agents, analysts, and prosecutors who worked diligently to investigate this case. And finally, a tremendous thanks to our foreign partners and the Treasury Department for their collaboration in this and other cryptocurrency and cybercrime cases.
All right. So that was it. She talked about enforcing these rules, getting people that are exploiting the industry, that are exploiting investors, that are exploiting all these other things, and not going after Bitcoin, not even going after individual other altcoins. They're going after the criminals, and whether you think they're a criminal or not, that's beyond the scope of this. So, a nothing burger. In my opinion, it is a nothing burger, and the more we wait around to see what the government's going to do, the more they're going to stretch it out and not really do anything. Another side of this another interpretation is you could say, like, some of these actions that we've seen could be, they're trying to enforce this without stepping too hard on Bitcoin, because maybe they know eventually they will have to use Bitcoin. Well, one of the things that secret government agencies like to do is move money around without people knowing, right? And Bitcoin's good for that. Bitcoin's good for that. And so they will want to use it just like everybody else. So anyways, that's all I have for today. What I'm going to do now is open it up on Telegram. If you guys have any Questions, comments, concerns. This is the time to do that. I do have a hard stop here in about 5 minutes, so probably only take one question, maybe two, if there's any. So while I wait for that, I am getting the yesterday's podcast out here in a little bit. So be checking for that. I appreciate all the likes and shares out there for all of the podcast stuff, the YouTube channel, all of my content every day. Appreciate all you guys. I'm not seeing any hands up here. So I'm going to end it there. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining me. Make sure you check out the YouTube channel, BTC Market Update. Follow me on Twitter at Ansel Lindner. And join the Telegram, t.me/Bitcoin and markets. All right, guys. Have a good day. Bye.